And welcome to week 12 of our Tuesday conversation here at the church. And we have brought some interesting people to you. Last week our video was a little long, but Coach T did an amazing job, so we thank him for that. But this week I want to introduce someone to you that you should know. Maybe they already know, but if not, now they will. And this is Austin Dykes. And so Austin Dykes is, I've known him for 9 years now. Almost 10, which is crazy. He was in my youth group when I first started here, and I'll let him tell more about himself in just a second, but he is the one that has helped transform our church online experience, and that is a big deal. So when this first thing started, I needed help, and Austin saw that, and he jumped in and helped out. So thank you for Austin, for what you've been doing.
Sure.
So a couple questions so they can get to know you better, and then we'll talk about a couple things. But first, high school and college, where did you go and what was your degree?
So for high school, even though we lived in Monroe, every day we would drive out to Gwinnett County, and I went to Collins Hill High School, which is out near like the Mall of Georgia area. Big school, like 4,000 kids in the whole school, about 1,000 kids a grade. My dad taught there, so that's like the main reason I went there. So that's when I went for high school. For college, I went to the Art Institute of Atlanta for audio production, which is where I learned how to do a lot of this production, like audio and video stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. And who would have thought you would have had to use it for our church? But man, God had a plan. So I definitely appreciate your willingness to jump in. So all right, so Collins Hill, that's where my wife went, and his dad coached basketball there for several years and coached tennis. And so my extended family knew of them before I did because I actually went to Collins Hill and her brother did too. So very cool to come back and know that we had that connection. So tell me, you've been involved in church most of your life. So tell me the involvement, how it's transitioned from a kid to a preteen to a teen, because you haven't always gone here. So walk us through that.
Sure. I think when I really got involved with the church was, so we used to live in Snellville, Georgia, so that's where I was born and that's where I grew up. But when I flipped from elementary to middle school, we moved out to Monroe. And we found this little church out next to where our house is, out in Bull Springs. It was just called Bull Springs United Methodist Church. We got plugged in there. They had a little youth group, and there was just a couple of kids there, but we all got pretty close. So that's really where I got plugged into church. Things started clicking. And I guess we always went to church, but I was a kid. A lot of kids, it doesn't really click for them.
Sure.
But that's what, like I said, that's where it really started clicking for me. And then after a while, some of those people began to leave, and then we flipped over to here when I was I think I was in 10th grade, I want to say. Yeah.
What was your involvement? When you first got here, what was your involvement?
Well, the first day, walked in here, Dane came up to my mom and dad and introduced himself, and then they told him that I play guitar because I played a little bit of guitar at the other church, and then immediately Dane was like, "Hey, Joe Johnson, who's the worship leader, this guy plays guitar." So the next Sunday, I was on the stage playing with them.
Awesome.
So I've only been here, I think, one time and not played in the band.
Not played.
Yeah.
And if you've been around, if you've been to our praise and worship service the last few years, you've seen what Austin can do on the guitar, especially around Christmas time. Dane has a special request that he always gets Austin to do, the Trans-Siberian Orchestra type of performance, and Austin kills it. But he has been a pillar in our praise band for years. And then Justin Cohen. Was Justin Cohen here playing drums before?
Yeah, he's before me.
Wow. And then you helped get Dalton Young. Did you teach him how to play the bass, or he kind of knew a little bit about it?
I don't know. Man, I don't remember, to be honest with you. I want to say I showed him maybe a thing or two.
Okay.
And we were in a band together. We were in this band together.
Crossfire
I didn't mean
band.
to even
That's
wear
right.
this,
I remember that. Yeah.
But that's where I think he got a lot of experience from is playing there, and he's pretty solid.
Awesome. Yeah, he still plays in our worship band every week when we're back here in person. So very cool. So speaking of being able to play in a band, your music ability is what sets you above many. And it's kind of unique. We talked about this before, how you didn't really take lessons per se as a kid. You kind of taught yourself. So kind of walk us through, and maybe those that have kids that would love to be able to play the piano or the guitar or the drums or whatever, how that discipline that it takes to self-teach yourself, something like that.
Sure, yeah. I think the main thing, and this is something that, so I'm the only musician in my family, like as far back as I even know.
Wow.
And I'll argue with my family, like, man, I took lessons when I was a kid, and I wish I was good.
Yeah.
And I always say, well, you didn't want it bad enough. And then they get all defensive, of course.
Yeah.
But I really think that's it.
You're
I
right.
just wanted it.
Yeah.
Before I even got a guitar, like I tried playing guitar one time, and then I couldn't stop thinking about it. Like I just imagined myself playing guitar, and it was just like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted it. I wanted to learn songs, so I would go on YouTube and watch people teach like how to play songs, or I go look up the sheet music for it, which is really easy because guitar, the music for it, the sheet music is really easy to read. Like it takes seconds to learn. So I would just learn as many songs as possible, and I would learn technique and theory and scales and stuff through other songs. Which is a fun way to do it, because I know a lot of like traditional guitar teaching is like, here's a minor scale, here's a pentatonic scale, here are your modes. And it's kind of dry. It's really boring for a lot of people. But if you give people examples of where they've heard these before, then they're like, oh, okay. Yeah. They see the application. And that's, since I teach, that's really helpful. And a lot of stuff that we teach, it's song-based, so that you get to see an example or multiple examples of where you would use these techniques and this stuff, instead of just, here it is.
Yeah. Well, something you said I think can speak to a lot of kids is, do you want it bad enough? There's a lot of things that I would like to do. There's a lot of things in sports and activities that kids like to do. But are you driven and know this is what you want to do, and be able to put the disciplines in place, whether they're through a teaching thing or a getting lessons, wherever it is, but are you willing to put the time in? And that's it, right? I mean, just putting the time and effort in something and not letting anyone tell you can't do it. So very, very cool. What instruments can you play? Now, I know your degree level of what you think is good and what I think is good is probably different. So what can you sit down and you could play pretty easily?
I would say from best to worst, probably guitar, bass, drums, and probably like piano.
Okay.
Probably those.
Cool.
That's probably about it.
And now, do you teach students all of those instruments, or do you? Okay, very cool. So if you're out there, and I'll give you, he'll kind of get a chance to talk about that in a second. But that's what he does for a living is teach kids how to play instruments. So that's very cool. And that leads us into our next question: is what do you do for a profession?
So I'm one of the directors at a music school out in Alpharetta, Georgia, called Block to Rock. They teach pretty much anything you can imagine. Mainly, it's the main instruments in a typical rock band, which would be like piano, guitar, bass, drums, vocals, stuff like that. But there's other stuff too. We got strings, we've got like brass instruments and stuff like that. But yeah, so I'm one of the directors. I think I teach. So I have one band I'm in charge of. So there's a bunch of kids we put together in a band, and they learn songs, and we have them go out and play gigs and stuff. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really fun.
When I first heard about the school name, I couldn't help but think of the movie School of Rock and Jack Black. So I'm assuming it's not quite like that, but maybe it is.
It's pretty similar.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So if you've seen School of Rock, he's skinnier than Jack Black, but that would be kind of what you're thinking of, which is really cool. And I think when I watch that movie and I hear what you do is you're giving kids excitement for something that they can play for the rest of their lives. With sports, they end. Sports ends. But music can last for a lifetime and be able to give back, and it's just a really cool thing. So that's what Austin does. And so let me talk about Church Online for a minute. So 3 months ago, when we found out that we were going to be unable to worship in person, we kind of start scratching our heads and thinking, what's the best way to do this? What platform? Now, we've been streaming things on our church website for years, and we may get 20 or 30 views a week on that, which is fine. If you're on vacation, if you're in the hospital, if you're homesick, you can tune in. But it really wasn't catered to those that weren't in this like you were an onlooker to our worship. You weren't a part of our worship. And so when we first started, and you can go back and watch some of our very first ones where we Facebook Live the whole thing. And I had my iPad there in front, and I hit the go button. I'd run up to the chair, and we would start. And it was okay. The sound was not great, but a lot of churches nowadays, that's all that they have. And so that's what we did. And it was okay. We did it for 2 weeks. And then I guess middle of the week, Austin shot me a text, hey, I'm interested in helping make your performances, your worship services a little bit better. And I thought, man, that's an amazing thing. I didn't think we'd even use it because I thought we'd be back. And so Austin started recording our praise band in here. That's kind of why we're in here. This is kind of his recording studio these last 3 months. He's got his computers, his sound system. Everything is in here. This is where he does the majority of his recording. And so he recorded the praise band. And then he helped me start a YouTube channel, and we put this on YouTube, and it was amazing, and the quality was so good. The sound is what I found out. People could care less about what it looks like, but if they can't hear it, they're not going to watch. Now, we're lucky enough to have great sound and great picture put together, but that's something we could not do on our own. So Austin jumped in, started filming these, and then we started pre-recording our services, because sometimes in the city of Monroe, the internet can be a little poor. Not all the time, just sometimes. If it's cloudy, if a bird flies by, sometimes our internet slows down. And that was causing some concern with our live stream. So then we moved to pre-recording our services, which was definitely out of our comfort zone, because we record on Mondays, and it's all based around Austin's schedule. He works full time, and so the one day he has off, he devotes at least half the day to us in person. What he does behind the scenes with our editing is who knows how many hours. But so we start pre-recording on Mondays. Me and Dane do our message piece, then Lisa comes in and films hers, and then he will film some sort of musical element about 1 o'clock, and then sometimes he'll come back on a Sunday and he'll film praise band things, and he tries to stay ahead, but he has single-handedly helped keep us going in this epidemic. And I know you don't feel that way, but I'm telling you, you've been a game changer for us, and we appreciate that so much. And so just walk us through what a typical week of editing and filming looks like, and kind of give everybody an idea of the time frame, because people don't know. They just, the video took them 30 minutes to do that. No, it didn't.
No. So assume we have like a full weekend of shooting to do. So on a Sunday morning, probably around 11:30, I'll get here, start setting up stuff for the praise band. What we normally do behind us, we'll have people sit in kind of like a circle facing the center. That way, like, the microphones don't pick each other up if they're like next to each other, because there's a lot of loud instruments, like drums. So, but yeah, I'll start setting up the computer over on this thing back here, this box. That's where all the microphones are plugged into. Then around 1, people will start getting here, and we'll get everyone situated, plugged in. We'll do some like sound checks, make sure they can hear each other. Then from like 1 to 5 or so, 5:30, we'll record between 1 and 2 songs, depending on how complicated they are. And yeah, they take about 5+ hours to do a couple of songs. And he gets here 11:30, and they record until 5. So when you see a 2.5 minute or 3 minute song, that's just the filming part of it. Now, how long would it take you to edit a typical praise band song? I've gone pretty fast at it, so I'd probably say, probably between 2 and 3 hours, probably.
For one song. Are you tracking with me? How many hours? Okay, you keeping them up in your head? Okay, yeah, so that's a lot.
And that's fast.
That's fast, and that's for one song. And most Sundays we have 2 songs. And so we will have a praise band song, and then we'll have a traditional type song with Joe or with somebody from the choir singing. And it's maybe not as long, or is it as long to record those?
No, those, so the musical elements that are one shot and it's just me moving around, that's much easier to edit. But to shoot, there's less room for error. So if I like stumble or something, gotta do the whole thing again.
Mm-hmm.
Because you have one take, so it's almost like I'm performing with them in a way.
Right.
So when, like for example, there was the Don and Eddie, the duet, I had to listen closely and remember who was gonna sing when, so I could be focusing on them.
Yeah.
So I have to be paying attention to what's happening, and so those are a little easier to edit and a little trickier to shoot.
Sure.
Even though it doesn't take as much time. It would be, and I don't think I would be able to do like the multiple angles with that, because the praise band we play to a metronome. It's always the same. The timing is always exactly the same, so I can switch takes and I don't have to worry about things getting out of sync.
Sure.
So that's how we're able to do that. But still, it's tricky and it's on the way.
Yeah. So you see now, it's a little bit different than just one camera, one microphone, all of a sudden, because our Sunday services look so fluid, and the transitions, and he puts our scriptures on there, and he puts all that together, and along with working full time and having some sort of a social life. So Austin has been, I think everybody would agree, has been our saving grace through this period. If we did not have him and what he's put together for us, which looks professional, we would not be reaching the people, we would not be having as many views, and our engagement with our congregation would not be where it is. So Austin has really just taken the lion's share of this and helped us make these things happen. And the last question, why are you doing it? I mean, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, he may get a little love offering here and there, but he's not on the payroll. So why would you do that?
I mean, I've been here for so long. I feel like I have to do it. I guess like people aren't able to go to church, and I had like the vision of being able to give them like an online experience, regardless of whether they're here or not. I kind of like had that idea of everything, like almost from the start. I think you posted something on Facebook saying the church was going to be closed, and then y'all were going to like figure out a way to put something out there. So I like immediately like had the vision of like an online service, kind of like what we're doing now. So I think I messaged you and you were like, okay. Sure.
Yeah. I had no idea that it would turn into this. And I warned him when we first started. I said, there's a lot of elements, a lot of people that we have to kind of navigate this waters with, and so and you've done that so well. But I think about your tattoos on your arm and what that meant. Tell them what that is, because I think that's why you do what you do.
For sure, yeah. I've got Jesus paid it all. On the other one, I've got all to him I owe. But yeah, man, I guess, how do you say it, I guess? I feel like I had to. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't even a choice. Like, I had to do it.
Yeah. Well, man,
do something.
We're so glad that you did. And even when these things got extended and it went longer and longer, I'd shoot him a text and be like, hey, are you still with us? Because I don't know what we're going to do. Because I have learned a lot from him in this process. And a lot of these little vlogs I do, the Tuesday conversation stuff, just things he's helped me, and I'm nowhere near. I'm like in elementary school, and this guy's got his grad degree in regards to technology. But I am trying to do the things like this that looks remotely close to what he's doing, because I want the product to be good, because we love our people, and we feel like it's our responsibility. I think that's what you're talking about. You feel this nudge, this urge to allow people to worship where they're at.
Right.
And that's such an amazing gift that you have been able to help us do. So I wanted him to come on. I wanted you to see him. Y'all have seen him growing up. You saw him graduate high school. But this is the one. This is the guy. Along with our praise band and Joe and Lisa and Dane and myself. I mean, we all have a part to play. But this guy's the coach in regards to our design, everything. He's the one that pushes the go button and makes us look anywhere near professional, is because of Austin. So I wanted him to come on, allow y'all to see him. Next time you see him, give him an air high five. Tell him thank you. This guy's a rock star. He's killing it. He's got a full-time job, putting in countless hours because he loves you and he loves God's church, and he wants our message to continue to be in your rooms every single week. So thank you, Austin, for what you're doing, man. And there's no way that we can all say thank you enough for what you've done.
So
let's pray as we end today. Lord, we thank you. We thank you for Austin. We thank you for his ministry. This is a ministry, and this his way to help evangelize to the next generation and those that are home, those that are confined to their homes, or that are sheltering in place, Lord, that we can able to bring your word into their homes. And it's because of you bless us with technology, and you bless us with some amazing people like Austin that know how to use technology to best serve you. So we thank you for Austin and his ministry. Continue to bless him and keep him safe. And Lord, until we meet again, we'll see all of us next week on our Tuesday conversation. Here's in the name we pray. Amen. Back with Austin again really quickly. Wanted to give him an opportunity to offer something to you. You know, he's the director of a music school, Bach to Rock. So tell us some things, if there's some kids at home that want to start getting into music and instruments, what can they do?
Sure. Yeah, all you can do is you can go to Alpharetta, you can email me or the school, which is alpharetta@bachtorock.com. My email is austindykes421@yahoo.com. If you're interested, you don't have to be just a kid. We have plenty of, it's all over the board. We have some adults, we've got some middle-aged people like my age, kids. So if you're interested in music, and even if you feel like you're trapped at home, you can get on Zoom. We can do lessons, and it works really well. I was really skeptical about how well Zoom lessons would do, especially with certain instruments like drums. Mm-hmm. But it's actually, I'm pretty surprised. It's been working pretty well.
Awesome. So if you got a kid at home, if you're an adult and you want to pick up a hobby or start to teach you something, get in touch with Austin. He can help pair you up with the right teacher, if not himself. And you can learn something that you can share with other people and use your gifts for God's glory. So thanks again, Austin. Appreciate that.
Sure.